I know that things have changed about pot. There's more of CBD pens now and gummies. My older friend that I talked to, he uses the gummies and usually nods off when we're talking over the phone, and he's like nodding off. He lives near San Francisco area, and he's the atheist Satanist guy I talked to that has Kali all over his walls and all that. Yeah. The CBD gummies are in, including, I know people bong out now. I used to bong out sometimes with one of my ex-boyfriends, and he had a special account for his weed for a long time. And he even gave me permission to break up with him when he started telling me about it, because I was paying for hotel rooms and for going out to eat for about over a year. And he's an older guy, and he was in his 40s and I was in my 20s then. And it was like a dysfunctional relationship. And after that, I got out of that relationship when I went on a trip to Australia to visit my sister, Gina, and I broke up with him when I was on the trip, and he got all upset. You don't usually break up with people when you're on a trip, but that's what I did. And I moved on really fast when me and my fiance broke up. I did not move in with him. He was not ready to get married. He got a cottage and allowed a lot of his musician friends to move in there and squat in the tiny little cottage with bad plumbing. And I had a bunch of issues with my stomach. I had to go to the hospital and get IVs always. And his bathroom was, that toilet was awful. Worse than a public restroom toilet, very tiny. And his brother would always use it. And he was recovering from meth smoking, was a pot smoker, always smoking out of cans. And a lot of his friends would come around, this band that were always wanting to squat for free and not pay rent. And this is before pandemic had hit. Now I've been talking to my friend, now this new guy that I've been reconciling with, and I feel like in a way it's long overdue because there was a lot of distresses and stresses with things, and I know that things are getting worse. When I was younger, we were warned in church that bestiality is going to be a mainstream issue and all this other stuff. My pastor, Brian, at Calvary Chapel would always talk about it years ago. But now that we're getting into things and then everything's modernized, things have changed a lot. I grew up going to Calvary Chapel, and when I was young in junior high and high school, there was this place called the Fur Coat. It was like a Christian biker bar. These are unheard of now. And this was downtown, and it catered to the homeless. There was free food. There was fur coats everywhere hung up, and there was a stage, and there was a place in the back where you, like a big rehearsal room, and if a young girl wanted to use a microphone and sing, it was the place to be. And they would give you free nachos, free food, and there was free admission. You don't have to pay and there was no alcohol. It was like in Chicago, the Res Band. My parents had all the Res Band stuff and Jesus People USA stuff. And that was more in the 70s and 80s and 90s time. And things have changed, undercover. My friend now, he's played in bands where in LA there were Christian bands at the time happening. Oh, they always have good equipment. They have the best equipment, all those Christian bands, and their parents will pay for all that because it's Christian rock they want to play. Because he's from that time when Christian rock was more in, and they would play at venues, churches, and at Christian biker bars. There was no alcohol. I was only like 8 years old, 9 years old. I go with my friend Corey, and she was named after Corey Ten Boom, and she was scared. This reminds me of the place that Corey Ten Boom went, like some place for the Nazis. She was scared because it was like an underground tavern place. And I brought her there, and we used to go every like Saturday. And eventually her mom, who was a drummer, liked to go there to go play her music because she started a band at the time. And her mom was a drummer and liked screen printing. I remember T-shirts, and at the time, Calvary Chapel was like a tiny knit place where there was Harvest Fest, and there was a gift shop where a lot of Christian artists had their CDs, their tapes, cassettes, and Corey and I were best friends, and we would prank a lot of guys, and she was a smart ass girl, not even reached puberty yet, but we were way ahead of her time, and kind of like real rambunctious. Would go in the back in the rehearsal room, and we're not shy of going on stage and being loudmouths. And she was more of the talkative one then, because she's real tall and she looked older, so she got the most attention. But we used to go to the Fur Coat, and these places are unheard of now, I know, and it's all in old history, but that's what I've been talking about with this older guy because he remembers all that. Not everybody knows the Christian scene and how it was in the 90s and 80s. It was very different. And there was places that catered to the homeless, and you'll never see that ever again. Downtown now it's become overpacked with a bunch of needles, and you can't shower anywhere. Your clothes get stolen. It's changed now downtown and the scene, and there's always alcohol and energy drinks everywhere you go, and it's just not the same. But that took me back, and talking to him, for some reason I'm absorbing the past rather than the future, because the future has a bad taste at times. But that's why I like talking to him, because he remembers a time and played with bands at the time when that was the thing. My dad had the 77s and the Res Band, Striper, a lot of the majority Undercover, and all the hard rock bands that were in at the time. There was a lot of rockabilly, even Christian bands, and different kinds of punk bands and ska bands in that Christian rock scene at the time. They would play at churches and major venues. It was really different. But yeah, things have changed, and I think it's going to continuously change furthermore and further on. And even if someone decides they hate me just because I can't stand bestiality, I don't care. You hate me all you want. I worked at an animal aviary for over 7 years, and people a lot of times didn't want to kill the spiders there. I've known how to kill the spiders because a lot of them didn't even kill a spider. They were so pro animal care and were so sensitive about animals. And here, a lot of people are pro care about animals, but they're for abortion, and they have their double standards. I'll spank my cats, but I won't spank my kids. Yeah, everybody has their different standards, and satanic temple and all that, and all this stuff. And then you have domestic violence, so it doesn't not make any sense, does it? And start abusing yourself with drugs and narcotics and all that, and the big push for medication and all that, which that too is a sham also with the government. So if you figured that one out long ago, come on now. Gummies, falling asleep with a middle of conversation over the phone. I don't like that. Go take a nap.